Hello, Indianapolis Motor Speedway fans. It is getting closer to the 108th running of the Indianapolis 500. In fact, we're getting ready to have the open test at the Speedway, which is a great opportunity for us to see what are those speeds going to be like, who's going to be competitive when we lead into May. And we're just about a month away from the Sancio Grand Prix that will kick the month of May off. And I'm sitting next to one of those guys who's going to have a chance, a legitimate chance, to win both of those races in the month of May. Scott McLaughlin. Scott, thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Doug. Thanks for having me.
You know, we're doing this in January. I'm still trying to rehab this mess.
Yeah.
Hopefully, when I'm seeing it, by the open test, I should be in pretty good shape. And by the open test, we will have known if you picked up a win at St. Pete. I know last year was such a challenge for you. You were so fast. It was a dramatic way to kick things. Frankly, it was great for the 100 days. The 100 days show, the drama there. I know you didn't want it to be there, but how excited are you about the 2024 NTT IndyCar Series?
Oh, super excited, Doug. It's my fourth year. I feel like I've got all the off-track situation, whether my visa, buying a house, I've got another dog. Like, it's all sorted on the off-track side. So going into the race year, like everything's sort of off-track. It's a lot nicer for me to focus on racing itself. And going to St. Pete, we know we've got speed there. I've been fast there the last couple of years. Always loved that track, and what a way to kickstart our season. If we can win that again, that would be fantastic. But for me, the eyes are firmly set on the 500 or the month of May, and can't wait to get back to your home, basically.
So for much of your career, it was the Bathurst 1000 that meant so much. And 3-4 years ago now, you sort of switched focus. Are you as passionate about the Indy 500 and winning it as you were about the Bathurst 1000 and winning it?
No doubt. If anything more. I think you realize just how big a spectacle it is when you come to it for the first time, but then to be a part of it and race competitively, it's incredible, and sitting in your car here and back home in Indiana, it's incredible, and something that, it just sits with you so well. And for me to be able to see Joseph win it last year and see the spectacle that goes about winning the race and being basically immortal it's amazing, and I'd love to be a part of that group.
So I know you as teammates care about each other and you want to be successful, but is it hard when a teammate wins and you have to watch them celebrate?
I think with Joseph, I was very happy for him because he'd tried so long, and it's been something that he'd done everything but that. So to see him win was really special. But I think if he won it again this year, it'd be hard. And I'm being honest there. I generally think we can have a chance to be there if we put ourselves in the right positions and whatnot. And I've learned a tremendous amount over the last few years racing that race. But the reason I put the 500 above a championship, I know this is not your question, but I do put it above a championship because of the opportunity of only being able to do it once a year. And if you make a mistake, you're out. And the championship, you can rebound, you can come back a little bit, but the once a year thing only happens for the Indy 500, and that's why, like Bathurst, it's for me the biggest race of the year.
So I know for a lot of drivers who didn't grow up following the Indy 500 and being part of it, it takes some time to really understand the history and tradition. One of those things that back home again in Indiana, I always say, the 300,000 plus people, and I don't care where you're from, you're a Hoosier for those 90 seconds. I mean, it is really, really powerful.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of history in the colors you carry.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you've really studied a lot about that, but really the drivers who've been behind the wheel of the Yellow Submarine, the Pennzoil-sponsored car, are you able, as a driver, does that put more pressure on you, or for you, once you put a helmet on, you don't really worry about, man, there's a lot of guys who've had victories at the Speedway in this yellow car?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a proud, I like looking back at the history of it, and it's 40 years since Rick won in the Yellow Sub this year, and I'm super privileged to race those colors, but absolutely there's a lot of pressure. There's no one that can put more pressure on me than myself, but at the same time, what those colors carry, the opportunity that you have to bring those to victory lane. I mean, 2014, Elio nearly took them to victory lane, just missed out. I'd love to be able to do it in 2024, 10 years later. And like I said, 40 years since Rick took him to victory lane for Penske, and to get Roger's 20th win is another, little carrot dangling there for you.
For sure. I've always kind of wondered, as a driver, your mirrors are small, you don't see a lot, so you're counting on those spotters to talk to you.
Yeah.
But that yellow car has to be easier for drivers in front of you to know you're right there and to kind of maybe intimidate them a little bit, to just see that little flash of yellow in that small mirror.
I love the brighter the better for me, and I've always been that way. I think, and that starts from the open test, that starts from the testing throughout the week. You need to make moves, and then they'll know when the yellow car comes up behind them, expect a battle. And ultimately that's how I've sort of played it ever since I've driven that car. But we need to have a bit more speed as a team. Hopefully we have that this year, and we'll find it at the open test.
Yeah, absolutely, and speed is something that's is obviously important, and I'm excited about this year. because of the hybrid coming later this year is going to be great for the series. But with that, there's a lot of weight-saving components that will still be on the car in preparation for the hybrid coming that should allow for some pretty good speeds in open test and certainly in qualifying.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm super excited. I think every year the cars just get faster. The teams find a way to go faster, which is really cool. Obviously, conditions are a big factor at the speedway, whether that's wind or we get a massive tailwind or not. But yeah, excited to get back there. I am excited that the car is going to be very similar to what we've had, to be able to have another crack at the last couple of years haven't gone to plan for me. So I'd like to try and nail it maybe in the final year of the non-hybrid era.
So you've had 3 opportunities to qualify for the 500. Stressful moments in those qualifying 10 miles?
Terrible. That's the most stressful qualifying laps I've ever done in my life. First and second lap, not too bad. You feel what you've got, and then it's the third and the fourth lap. It's particularly coming out of turn 2 on the last lap and through 3 and 4 on the last lap. It's an incredible, and you've got to make sure you got to think ahead of your tools, where you're putting them, where you're setting them. And that's where someone like Rick Mears has been in my corner and really helping me get a feeling for when I need to change those. What does the car do for me to prompt me to be ahead of those changes? Because if you're behind them, you'll never catch back up. It's a lot of fun, but I'm sure getting pole like Alex did last year would be a special moment and one of the best poles of my career.
You talk about tools. I think one of the things that people have started to wonder about Scott is you move your hands around a lot of the wheels, and it's almost like there's fake buttons in there. Is that on purpose, or is that just a nerve thing, or what causes your hands to move so much on the wheel?
For me, it's a reset thing. I like stretching my hands,
right.
But I had a drink button in Australia that I'd push, and I'd do that out of every corner. And it would just reset me. It was just part of my deal. Anyway,
so were you actually getting a drink, or you're just pushing?
Oh no, I was getting a drink, and I still pretend to push that button today, and I get nothing from it. I'm most of the time I'm pushing just a hard piece of carbon fiber. But yeah, it's just part of my routine, and yeah, I'm a bit of a. You could say I'm a pretty high intense guy in that regard.
People started watching that, and I know other competitors are like, what's he got in his car that nobody else has? He's got to be figuring something out.
The minute Colton Herto, Alex Rossi, they all text me, what are you doing? What are you pushing? And I went with it, and that was probably the worst thing I did.
But, that's part of what makes it fun. And again, there is some of that psychological strategy that you drivers have. You're all friends for the most part, but you are so competitive. And any of those little psychological things, whether it's a yellow car in their mirror or whether it's Scott's hands moving around, I think that absolutely probably plays with them a bit.
Yeah, for sure. I think you've got to play that, understanding that you're racing door to door, wheel to wheel at 240 mile an hour. So you've got to play that well, because you've got to have some trust out there as well. But you've also got to, allow them to know that you're not here to play around, and if you need to, make a move to win the race, you will.
So this is year number 4 at the Speedway. You're no longer a rookie. You can no longer say, hey, I'm still learning.
No.
You got to have it this year. Does that put a little more pressure on you going this year?
Absolutely. Yeah. But, I think I'm ready. I know I'm ready. I feel like I said before, off-track stuff is really sorted. I'm feeling really at home here in the States. I feel at the team. I've got the same team that I had the last couple of years. There's no reason why we can't go big in 2024. And, you got to have a little bit of luck along the way. But, hopefully, it's our day come the end of May.
So it's great. One last question for you. Favorite moment of the off-season?
Probably going to Europe with my wife. It was a lot of fun. And we just got away from racing for a bit. It was great. I didn't even think about anything for a couple of weeks, which was a nice little reset. And but now it's nice to get back on home soil and just get onto it.
Absolutely. There you have it, race fan Scott McLaughlin. This will be his 4th Indianapolis 500 coming up here as we lead into the 108th running of the Indianapolis 500 presented by Gamebridge. I can tell you one thing about this guy. He has embraced every tradition. He's embraced all of you as the fans, and he is somebody that knows what it would mean if he could put his car in victory lane this year at the Indianapolis 500.